God, there was so much people.
I know! Tell me, how old are you?
5.
And where do you come from?
I live in Charleston, West Virginia.
The stage of America's Got Talent has seen countless performances over the years, but none quite like the one that unfolded on a fateful evening. As the lights dimmed in the packed auditorium, anticipation filled the air. The show had already featured its fair share of talented contestants, but what was about to happen next would leave everyone astounded. From the wings emerged a small figure, her hand tightly gripping her mother's as they made their way toward the stage. Lucy, a 5-year-old girl with blonde hair and a bright smile, walked slowly toward the center. It was immediately evident that she couldn't see the audience or the stage lights. Her mother gently guided her toward the microphone. The judges, Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Sofia Vergara, and Howie Mandel, exchanged curious glances. It's not every day that someone as young as this little girl appears on America's Got Talent, and the fact that she was blind only added to the intrigue. What could this young child, who had already overcome so much, possibly have in store for them? As Lucy reached the center of the stage, Simon Cowell, known for his often critical and serious demeanor, took the lead in speaking to her. With a gentle tone, he asked, "What is your name, and how old are you?" Her voice soft and sweet, Lucy responded, "My name is Lucy, and I'm 5 years old." Her innocent tone and shy smile immediately endeared her to the audience. Simon then asked Lucy what she planned to do for her audition. Without hesitation, she replied, "I'm going to sing." Her answer was simple, but there was something in the way she said it that hinted at the incredible performance that was about to follow. The other judges, Heidi, Sophia, and Howie, all smiled warmly at her. They seemed intrigued and curious, wondering what this tiny girl with such a big heart would bring to the stage. As the opening notes of the song played, the theater seemed to shrink. What had moments before felt like a vast space filled with thousands of people now felt intimate and quiet, as if everyone was holding their breath in unison. Then, Lucy took a deep breath and sang her first note. The purity and strength of her voice shocked the hall. From the moment her tiny voice filled the air, it was clear that this was no ordinary child. The note she sang was clear and powerful, but most of all, it was filled with emotion. Despite being so young, she sang with a depth and sensitivity that left the audience and the judges in awe. The look on Simon Cowell's face was priceless. His typically stoic expression melted into one of genuine amazement. His eyes widened as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing. It was rare for Simon to show such visible surprise. But Lucy's voice was something different, something magical. Heidi, Sophia, and Howie were equally stunned, their faces lighting up with shock and admiration as Lucy continued to sing. The audience, too, was captivated. Some sat with their hands covering their mouths in disbelief, while others wiped away tears. The beauty of Lucy's voice was something no one had expected. As Lucy continued to sing, the sheer power of her voice became more apparent. Her pitch was flawless, her tone full of warmth, and her delivery emotionally rich. What made her performance so special, however, wasn't just her technical ability, although that was impressive in itself. It was the way she connected with the song, and by extension, the audience. Blindness had never held Lucy back. Instead, it had given her a unique connection to the world of sound. With her sight gone, her other senses had heightened, and it was clear that she had developed an extraordinary relationship with music. Every note she sang seemed to come from a place deep inside her, a place that wasn't restricted by the limitations of the physical world. As she sang, it became obvious that this wasn't just a talented child singer. Lucy was an artist. Her voice had the ability to evoke emotions in a way that many adult performers could only dream of. She seemed to understand the emotional weight of the song she was singing, even if she couldn't fully articulate it in words. It was as if music was her first language, and she was communicating with the audience in a way that transcended words. By the time Lucy hit the final note of her performance, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. People were crying, not just because of the beauty of her voice, but because of the purity and innocence with which she sang. There was no ego, no desire for fame or recognition in her performance. just a little girl sharing something she loved with the world. When she finished singing, the theater fell into a stunned silence. For a brief moment, it was as though no one could believe what they had just witnessed. The usual rush of applause that follows a performance didn't come immediately. Instead, there was a collective pause as everyone processed what they had just seen and heard. Then, as if on cue, the audience erupted into applause. It wasn't just polite clapping, it was a thunderous standing ovation. People rose to their feet, cheering and clapping with a level of enthusiasm that few performers ever manage to inspire. It was clear that the performance had touched something deep within them, something they would remember long after the show ended. The judges were just as moved. Simon Cowell, known for his sometimes harsh critiques, was the first to speak. He leaned toward his microphone and with a smile said, "Wow." His words were few, but they carried the weight of his astonishment. Lucy had not only exceeded expectations, she had shattered them. Her talent was undeniable, and even Simon, who had seen thousands of performers over the years, was left nearly speechless by her performance. Heidi, who was visibly emotional, praised Lucy for her bravery and talent, calling her performance beautiful beyond words. Sophia echoed the sentiment, expressing how moved she was by the young girl's voice and the emotional depth she had brought to the song. Howie, always quick to add a touch of humor, joked about how she had managed to leave even him speechless, which was a rare occurrence. But beneath the jokes and praise was a genuine sense of awe. The judges knew they had just witnessed something truly special, something that went beyond talent and skill. The performance was a reminder of the beauty and power of music and the ability it has to connect people in ways that few other things can. As the applause finally began to die down, the cameras panned across the audience, capturing the wide range of reactions. Many people had tears in their eyes, clearly moved by the emotional power of the performance. Others wore expressions of disbelief, as though they couldn't quite wrap their heads around the fact that a 5-year-old girl could sing with such incredible talent and emotion. Parents in the audience held their children close, no doubt feeling inspired by Lucy's bravery and determination. It wasn't just her voice that had touched them, it was her spirit. Here was a little girl who had every reason to be afraid, who had faced more challenges in her short life than most people ever would, and yet, she had stood in front of thousands of people and delivered a performance that was nothing short of extraordinary. It wasn't long before clips of Lucy's performance began circulating on social media. Within hours, the video had gone viral, with millions of people sharing it and commenting on how much they had been moved by her voice and her story. The overwhelming consensus was clear. She was a once-in-a-lifetime talent, and her performance on America's Got Talent had left a lasting impact on everyone who had the privilege of witnessing it. In the days that followed her audition, Lucy and her family were inundated with offers from people in the music industry who wanted to help her develop her talent further. Vocal coaches, music producers, and even other professional singers reached out, offering their support and guidance as she began to take the first steps toward a career in music. In interviews following her audition, Lucy's mother spoke about how much music had meant to her from the time she was a toddler. Music has always been a part of her life, she explained. Even before she could talk, she would hum along to the songs we played for her. It was clear from an early age that she had a natural connection to sound. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible videos. Have you ever witnessed a moment where time seems to stand still, where an act of kindness transforms an ordinary day into something extraordinary? What would you do if you encountered a vulnerable child alone in a vast, empty church? This heartwarming story reveals how Kate Middleton's maternal instincts and compassionate heart turned a potentially frightening situation into a touching demonstration of humanity that resonates with anyone who believes in the power of kindness. On a crisp autumn afternoon, as golden leaves danced outside century-old windows, the historic church stood as a silent witness to an unexpected encounter that would touch hearts and remind us of our shared humanity. The charity service had just concluded, and most attendees were filtering out into the brisk afternoon air. Kate Middleton lingered near the altar, engaged in meaningful conversation with Father Gregory, the parish priest whose dedication to community service was evident in every passionate word he spoke. The ancient stone walls held centuries of prayers and whispered hopes, while the warm light, filtering through stained glass windows, painted medieval stories across the worn stone floor. The atmosphere was peaceful, filled with the kind of tranquility that often follows moments of communal gathering. As the congregation's footsteps and murmured conversations faded, the church seemed to settle into its familiar solitude. Father Gregory spoke animatedly about the church's outreach programs, his eyes bright with enthusiasm as he shared stories of lives touched and communities strengthened. Kate listened attentively, her elegant presence adding warmth to the historic space. Yet, even as she engaged in conversation, her observant nature, a quality that had served her well in both royal duties and motherhood, caught something others had missed. There, in the back of the church, partially hidden by the imposing wooden pews and elongated shadows, sat a little girl, no more than 5 years old. The sight immediately drew Kate's attention, not just because of the child's solitude, but because of the palpable anxiety evident in her small frame. The little girl clutched a well-worn teddy bear, its fur bearing the loving marks of countless embraces and shared tears. Her other hand gripped the edge of the wooden pew so tightly that her knuckles had turned white, a physical manifestation of her inner distress. The contrast was striking and heartbreaking. This tiny figure set against the grandeur of soaring Gothic arches and magnificent stained glass windows. The child's wide eyes darted around the space with an urgency that spoke of mounting fear, scanning each departing face with diminishing hope. Her teddy bear, clearly a longtime companion, showed signs of being well loved. Patches of fur worn thin, one button eye slightly loose, yet clearly cherished all the more for these imperfections. Kate's maternal instinct, honed by her own experience as a mother, immediately recognized the signs of a child in distress. With the grace that had become her hallmark, she gently excused herself from Father Gregory's company. Her measured steps across the chapel created soft echoes that seemed to harmonize with the sacred space. The warm afternoon light streaming through the windows appeared to follow her progress, casting a gentle glow that made her approach seem almost ethereal. As Kate drew closer, she noticed how the little girl seemed to shrink further into herself, making her already small frame appear even tinier. Years of working with children had taught Kate the importance of approaching carefully in such situations. With natural grace, she lowered herself to the child's eye level, ensuring her presence would feel less intimidating. Her smile was gentle, radiating warmth and reassurance as she spoke. "Hello, sweetheart. Are you all right? Is someone here with you?" The young girl's eyes met Kate's, and though fear still shadowed their depths, something about Kate's presence, perhaps her genuine warmth or calming demeanor, seemed to pierce through the cloud of anxiety. Her lip trembled as she whispered in a voice barely louder than a breath, "I lost my mom." Those 5 simple words carried the weight of every child's greatest fear, making the vast church seem even larger and more intimidating. Without hesitation, Kate set aside all thoughts of royal protocol and position. She knelt fully beside the pew, her complete attention focused on the frightened child before her. "It's okay," she soothed, her voice carrying the steady warmth of a candle flame in the darkness. "We'll find her, sweetheart. You're not alone anymore." Through gentle conversation, Kate learned that the little girl's name was Sophie, and her constant companion was Mr. Snuggles, the beloved teddy bear whose worn appearance spoke volumes about his importance in Sophie's young life. Kate's natural ability to connect with children shone through as she addressed both Sophie and Mr. Snuggles with equal importance, treating the stuffed animal as a vital participant in their conversation. This simple act of acknowledging the bear's significance brought the first hint of a genuine smile to Sophie's face. Understanding the need to keep Sophie calm while help was summoned, Kate suggested they light a candle together. This simple yet meaningful activity would prove to be a turning point in their interaction. As they walked toward the altar, Kate shared a personal memory that helped bridge the gap between them. "When I was a little girl, my mom used to light candles with me when I felt scared. It always helped me feel brave. Would you like to try it? The ritual of lighting the candle became more than just an activity. It transformed into a moment of connection and hope. Kate guided Sophie's small hand with the match, their movements careful and deliberate. Together they watched the flame catch and grow, its warm light seeming to push back the shadows of fear that had surrounded Sophie. The child's whispered observation that it's working brought a warm smile to Kate's face and confirmed the power of this simple act of faith and comfort. While discreetly arranging for church staff to search for Sophie's mother, Kate maintained a gentle conversation with the child. She shared stories about her own children's favorite toys and adventures, creating a comfortable space where Sophie's anxiety could gradually dissolve into engagement and even occasional giggles. Kate's ability to balance the practical needs of the situation with emotional support showed her natural gift for nurturing and protecting. Time passed, marked only by the flickering of candles and the growing bond between the royal mother and the lost child. They talked about favorite colors, beloved pets, and the special magic that makes teddy bears such perfect friends. Kate's stories about her own children's stuffed animals helped normalize Sophie's attachment to Mr. Snuggles and created a bridge of understanding between them. When news finally came that Sophie's mother had been located in the community hall, the relief was palpable. The reunion that followed was touching. Sophie's mother rushing in with tears of joy, gathering her daughter in a tight embrace that spoke of minutes felt like hours of separation. The love between mother and child filled the church with a different kind of warmth, one that touched everyone present. But it was what happened next that truly captured the essence of this unexpected encounter. Sophie, showing wisdom and generosity beyond her years, offered Mr. Snuggles to Kate as a gift of gratitude. "He kept me safe," she said softly, her eyes bright with sincerity. "Now he can keep you safe too." The gesture, so pure and selfless, moved Kate deeply. Though she initially hesitated to accept such a precious possession, she recognized the importance of honoring Sophie's gesture. Kate's response was perfect. She accepted Mr. Snuggles with the same reverence with which he was offered, promising to take good care of him. The moment transcended the usual boundaries of royal protocol and social status, becoming instead about two humans sharing a connection of trust and gratitude. Before Sophie left with her mother, Kate shared one final message, gently brushing hair from the child's face as she whispered, "You're very brave, Sophie. Thank you for sharing Mr. Snuggles with me." As the echoes of their departure faded from the chapel, Kate remained seated for a moment, Mr. Snuggles in her lap, reflecting on how the smallest gestures of kindness can have the most profound impact. This chance encounter had transformed what could have been a frightening experience for a lost child into a moment of connection and comfort that would likely stay with both of them forever. This story reminds us that true nobility lies not in titles, but in how we reach out to others in need. Kate Middleton showed that being royal, at its core, means being deeply human, kneeling beside a frightened child and offering comfort in moments of fear. In our busy world, where many would walk past without noticing, this incident demonstrates how small acts of kindness can profoundly impact lives. Kate's response transcended royal protocol, showing genuine compassion when she encountered a child in distress. The story challenges us to consider how would we react in similar situations. It reminds us that our legacy isn't built on status, but on how we touch the lives of others.
Prayers are pouring in from around the country after Bishop T.D. Jakes suffered a health scare during a service at the Potter's House in Dallas. Good evening, I'm Blake Hansen. The megachurch says that Jakes is stable. Jakes was giving an hour-long sermon streamed live to thousands when it became apparent that something was wrong.
A powerful pastor, a sudden collapse, and thousands left praying for answers. What truly happened to Bishop T.D. Jakes, and how does it impact his remarkable journey? His daughter, Sarah Jakes Roberts, reveals the truth behind the health emergency. Let's explore the details. On a normal Sunday at the Potter's House Church in Dallas, something scary happened that shocked everyone. Bishop T.D. Jakes, the 67-year-old pastor who usually speaks with so much energy, suddenly stopped talking during his sermon. He had been preaching for about an hour, and the big church was full of people watching him. Hundreds of thousands more people were watching online through YouTube. Nobody knew that in just a few minutes, everything would change. The date was November 24th, 2024, and it would become a day his followers would never forget. Bishop Jakes was doing what he loves most, teaching about God to his people. He had even posted on social media earlier, telling everyone how excited he was to share a special message. The church was filled with the usual Sunday energy, with people nodding and agreeing as he preached. His voice was strong and clear as always, filling the huge 5,000-seat room. He seemed perfectly fine, moving around the stage and speaking with passion like he always does. Then suddenly, everything changed when he started saying what would be his last words of the day. Those final words showed something was wrong. "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength, my Redeemer. Let them go in peace." After saying this prayer, Bishop Jakes dropped his microphone, which wasn't like him at all. Then he started shaking in his chair, something that scared everyone watching. People in the church could tell this wasn't normal. Church workers quickly ran to help him. Someone turned off the live video stream, but not before thousands of people saw what was happening. The next few minutes were very confusing and scary for everyone in the church. People in the crowd were saying back up and give him some space as others tried to help Bishop Jakes. Church leaders asked everyone to pray right away. Some people were crying, others were praying out loud, and many were calling their friends and family to ask for more prayers. The medical team at the church rushed to check on him. All this time, Bishop Jakes was being taken care of by people who knew what to do in emergencies. After the incident, the Potter's House tweeted, "During today's service, Bishop T.D. Jakes experienced a slight health incident and received immediate medical attention following his powerful hour-long message. Bishop Jakes is stable and under the care of medical professionals." The entire Potter's House family is grateful for the outpouring of love, prayers, and support from the community. Later that same day, the church sent out a message telling everyone what happened. They said Bishop Jakes had a slight health incident, but was now stable and doctors were taking good care of him.
Hey family.
Hey.
I know that today's been an interesting day for us.
A tough day.
But we didn't want to lay down without giving you all an update about how everything is going with Bishop. We want to thank you first of all for your prayers.
His daughter Sarah and her husband Toure made a special video the next day to tell everyone more news. Sarah said, "Hey family, I know today's been an interesting day for us." Her husband added,